Well, Prasad said I am a good man, but I call myself a Nagarajan fanatic. So positive fanaticism, if we can coin a term like that. I have that kind of feeling for Professor Nagarajan. My memories go back to 48 years. You joined in 1970. Where is the last picture? Ah, I was there from 1969.
You are a legend.
Yeah. I was 20, he was 40. I was just toddling in academics and he was in top gear. Best way to put it. And then we came to know about the twinkle and the warmth much later. We remember those burning eyes. He could just burn me with his eyes. In spite of his very thick glasses, that almost boiling and burning wrath at our stupidity.
One interruption. That was because you are a man. We are all women, so the twinkle was for us.
But I am not complaining. I am more fortunate than you and Sukant and everybody that I was target of his wrath, his anger, his sarcasm, his cutting wit, his insults, taunts. You name the thing and he hurled it at us. But we said, well, fine, we are not going to leave you. छोड़ेंगे दम मगर तेरा साथ न छोड़ेंगे. That was the kind of dedication we had for him. You were telling about your tutorials. My first tutorial didn't have any grade at all. And the remark was brief to the point of obscurity. My second was bogus topic and bogus tutorial. But finally at the end of 2 years I got A plus from him. And that day was for me like having climbed Mount Everest. That kind of high academic standards he had. See, he had two supreme ambitions. He would be the I.A. Richards of India. What I.A. Richards was to Harvard, he would initially be for the University of Pune and later on for India. And secondly, he would teach Shakespeare and he would teach King Lear. Those were his two supreme, you can call them even, ambitions is a very small word, his obsessions, his ideals. He told us a story about I.A. Richards, that I.A. Richards had thrown somebody's term paper out of the window from the 10th floor or 12th floor. I don't know, I haven't been there. And that she was a young lady, but in spite of that, he did that. And she said, why are you so rude? I.A. Richards said, young lady, if I am not rude, the standard of English education in the whole United States will go down. That is what Dr. Nagarajan used to tell not only us, to our teachers also, some of whom were his students, had been his students. He used to yell at our teachers, younger teachers, that no wonder your students are so stupid, your own brains have stopped working. And he had absolutely never relented. He was so strict on his standards. And his ambition was to entirely revolutionize the teaching of English, first initially with the University of Pune, then as you said, studies of comparative literature. He was the first to suggest that we can give a degree, master's degree in English literature, even if the student writes his answers in Marathi, on only condition that he will not teach, he or she will not teach English literature. And the Marathi people turned it down. See how stupid people can be. And we choked, that's the best word. We choked under his scholarship because we had our small vessels and it was like a 25 horsepower motor pouring water into those small vessels. We choked at his scholarship. We trembled at his temper. And then we used to be sleepless 2, 3 nights whenever there was a tutorial discussion. That day it used to be total massacre. And still, we knew that the man was going out of himself, literally out of himself, to put some sense in whatever grey matter we had. Why King Lear? I think he could identify with all the good characters in Lear. Lear, Cordelia, Kent and Fool were his favorites all his life. And this edition is a witness to that. You can go through what he has written about these 4 characters. And then he did not discuss any other critic or scholar or the sources or whatever of literature. I mean, Lear. One evening he invited all of us, and there was no dinner afterwards, no tea, nothing. You come with your own copies of Shakespeare. And then we listened to the BBC record, long play records. He had all the Shakespeare plays, the BBC productions, audio productions. We sat in the class, and 3.5 hours it was going on. Next day, the great man jumped straight into Lear. You see, Lear is a mighty play, Lear is a grand play, Lear is a cosmic play. But I have not been able to connect with any other productions of Lear, because my Lear speaks always with a South Indian accent. But the way he read King Lear in the class, he became that character. There's no other way to describe it. And his tone, in spite of his South Indian accent, some of which I also have got, his tone was such. His tone could carry the majesty of literature, majesty of Lear, and the temper of Lear, then the outbursts of Lear. His tone could carry the loyalty of Kent, then the subdued, bonded love of Cordelia, and the biting, cutting wit of the Fool. When he read that, take my coxcomb, suddenly he metamorphosed himself from Lear into the Fool. But not only that, you see, it's very easy to find the right tone. Not very easy, but still easier to find the right tone for the good characters. But how do you deal with the bad characters? But the tones of Goneril, Regan, Edmund, in his pronunciation, Edmund, he got all of them. See, in the first scene, Cordelia is taking leave of her sisters because her husband-to-be, King of France, has told her to take leave of your sisters. And Cordelia says, be true to your word and take care of our father. And the Goneril responds, prescribe us not our duties. He got that tone so right that a shudder went down my spine. And he read the whole play. He lost his temper, shouted during the storm scene when Lear is on the verge of going mad. Then I told you about the tone of the Fool, then those limericks and songs of the Fool. He struck his own head when Lear struck his own head. And in that great reunion scene between Lear and Cordelia, Dr. Nagarajan had described it as a permanent text for all humankind. A text about love and the selflessness of love. Act 4, Scene 7. And Cordelia weeps in that scene. He also wept. We had never seen anything like this in a postgraduate classroom. So no wonder we decided that we are going to be with you for life. Your life, our life, and probably in the next life also. So that is Dr. Nagarajan and Lear. I'll take only a couple of minutes about this edition. I join you in congratulating all those who have helped this. It has a fitting grandness which the earlier edition didn't have. Fitting grandness of a Shakespeare edition. And then in that edition, he has thanked us, his student from Pune, twice. So again, those are typical Dr. Nagarajan statements. He says, my children and my students nurtured me. If I remember those first 2 years, I don't know who nurtured who, but we were simply tortured. I'm not going to be shy of that, speaking out the truth. But he says, my children, that is his children, and we people nurtured him, and therefore he has dedicated this edition to us. I'm one of them as a representative of all those. In another place he says, how innocent and pure students are. And this is an overstatement, I must confess. We certainly were pure, but I can solicit the innocence part of it. We also had our own tricks, but we could never outwit him. I can tell you any number of stories how we failed to outwit him. But after reading the whole edition, I read it twice, I find two big differences here. When he taught us Lear, there was no Christian interpretation of the play. And then he did not draw so much upon Montaigne. And then I checked the bibliography, all the sources of Montaigne and this Christian interpretation of Lear. In fact, he hated philosophizing and religizing everything. We had a priest in our class who used to find biblical connotations even in comedies. One day, Dr. Nagarajan had enough and he shouted at him, Father, forget the name, Father, why do you want to see your own blessed face everywhere? And that was that. God bless the priest. I don't know what he's doing now. And he didn't have a very good face, so his face became more embarrassed after this comment. Where did this come from? See, my last meeting was with him in 2000, I think in 2009. And when he started working, had he mentioned it at that time that I'm going to reinterpret Lear in this fashion, I would certainly have had argument with him. Secondly, I would have brought it to his notice. He has said, this is very important, he has tried to analyze Lear in the perspective of the Rasa theory, Bharat Muni's Rasa theory. And he rightly says that Karuna is the dominating rasa in King Lear, which is fine. And Karuna leads to Shanta, which is fine. But except Shringar, all the other rasas are present in King Lear. There is Hasya in the Fool, there is Bibhatsa in the Mad Edgar, there is Bhayanak when Lear goes mad, then there is Veera Rasa when there are sword fights, and so on. All the other 7 rasas also, except, 6 rasas, in all there are 8 rasas. So Karuna is there, but except Shringar, all the other rasas I find in King Lear. Well, thanks for this opportunity. As I said, generally when I speak on Nagarajan, Professor Nagarajan, time has a stop. But today I will have stopped. Thank you.